Hey friends, it's Renee again. So now we're going to talk about MailerLite. So I'm going to move myself maybe up here this time, and we'll see. I might have to move myself around a little bit. So I've created a test account at MailerLite. You would just create your own new account if you are interested in using them. And just to make sure, yes, so this is my test account. And anytime that we want to start, maybe here's better. Anytime that we want to start with an automation, we want to make sure that we have a new group for it in MailerLite. So in MailerLite, there's not the concept of a list. It's everybody's in the same list, and to do different things, you would segment by group. So we'll click on groups, and you see I've created some test groups. I'm going to create a new one now. So this is test group 3. So we've created the group. Then we can go to automation and create a new automation. Create a new workflow. So we need a name, and you would pick better names than this. And the trigger that we want is when a subscriber joins a group. Now, just kind of take a look at these really quickly. Other things that could happen: when a subscriber completes a form, when they click a link, when a field is updated, the anniversary of a date, or the exact match of a date. So just to know kind of in the back of your mind that those are some other options. So when a subscriber joins the group, and the group being test group 3, then we are going to kick off this automation. So we said before, let's pretend that we're going to send this welcome email. So the welcome email would come right away. Here's our welcome email. Now we need subject, from, and then a body of the email. So subject, here's where you would put your subject. If you want to personalize, you can insert, it's coming up on me, sorry. I knew this was going to be an issue. There we go. Insert name. Your free download. Let's say we gave a free download. Actually, I'm going to take that away because we're just doing welcome email. Okay. So who it's from. So your name and your email. Now, in this example, I'm using my Gmail because this is a test account. This is not my real account. You would want to use a regular email, so not a Gmail address. So you'd want to use you at your domain or info at your domain or something like that. You'd want to use a very specific email address, and you'll sign up with that. And so there's a little bit of a verification process that happens. So definitely check that out. Then we can design our email. Now, we talked about this earlier as well, where we can design an email with a drag and drop editor. There's new and old. We could do some custom HTML if we wanted, but really we're just getting started. And I like plain text, so I'm going to choose the rich text editor. So here is where our content goes. And all of the things that we talked about before, saying thanks, giving something if you've promised something, when you're going to get in touch with people again, when people can hear from you, when or what they should do in the meantime, read a blog post, whatever, anything you want your welcome email to say, you definitely want to add that in there. Now, you have to have some footer content. So the business and the address and the unsubscribe. So I really just leave all of this alone. The only things that you might want to change are the font, and it'll give you a few different kinds, not too many, because you want it to look the same from platform to platform, in Outlook and Gmail and so on. So I'd probably stick with Arial, maybe Helvetica. The size, I wouldn't go any lower than 13. Bigger is better. Even 15 is nice. And if you want to change the link color. So go ahead and click Done Editing. And really, that's the welcome email. So that's it. That's the welcome email. Now, you would want to turn this workflow on here at the top. Now, let's say that we are creating an automated sequence. Okay, so what we would do is we would send this first email, and it would say, here's your download, here's your freebie, here's your coupon, whatever it is. Then we would add another step of a delay. And how long do you want to wait? Maybe 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. And you can do minutes, hours, days, weeks, and months here as well as a specific time of the day, week, month, or year. So we're going to keep it simple for this presentation, and we're just going to wait 1 day. And then we'll send another email. Again, subject, here is from, we're going to design our email. Rich text editor. And if you made any changes, I would make them the same in this one. So I think I picked Helvetica and 15, but I left this alone. So done editing. So I would repeat those steps for as many emails as I had in my sequence. So if I had 5 emails, I would just keep going, wait however long I wanted to wait, then create the next email, wait, create the next email. At the end, I could add an action, and the action being that I wanted to copy them to my main group, or maybe move them to a group, or maybe remove them from this group. So the benefit of copying to another group is, so you have a sequence here of things, and then maybe you also have a group for your main newsletter, or your main monthly, or bi-weekly, or whatever quarterly thing that you send. You want them to go through this whole sequence, and then maybe you want to add them to that list. So once they've completed this sequence, you can add them to that group. So we'll say copy to a group, and my main group being the one with my name on it. And I can click save. And then I can turn this automation on. And I can go back to the automation list. And so now it's on, now it's running. Anytime somebody signs up, they'll get those emails based, in the timing between them. And then I'll be able to see how many emails were sent, how many were opened, and how many were clicked if I had something to click on. Now, I would also need to have created a form for people to sign up, and I would do that under forms. And you can do pop-up forms, landing pages, or embedded forms. So you can go through these and just determine if you want a pop-up, if you want a landing page, if you want an embedded form. It's actually really fun to do this, just to dive in and learn, like, oh, what can I do? And pick some different options. So create a form, put it on your website, people can sign up, then they would get this automation. Now, the other one I wanted to mention is a date-based follow-up. So let's say that, and you can do this as a new workflow, or you could add it to an existing workflow. So the trigger, this is going to be date-based follow-up. This one. The trigger is, we can do when they join the group, but we'll see how that works. So when they join test group 3, but really we're going to wait 6 months. So 6 months after they have gone through this, then we want to send them an email. So this is going to be our date-based follow-up. And the same thing, we're creating a subject, saying the from, and designing that email. Okay, so we'll design the email, and we can say like, hey, you've been using our service for 6 months, or you've been, whatever's been happening in the past 6 months. Hey, it's been 6 months. And then those things, like, here's a check-in. What should they have done? Like, did you end up following the instructions I gave? Did you implement it? If so, send me the information. Is there any way I can help you now? Whatever it is. Also, and I didn't mention this before, you can personalize here as well. So personalization and name. So it'll say then, hey, Renee, or hey, whoever. And I like that as well. And that's another reason to collect that first name field in your form. So I would, again, standardize these, fonts and sizes, done, and turn it on. Okay, so really super easy, right? Like, you should definitely be doing this. Now we're going to move on to ActiveCampaign. Okay, so you ready? I'm excited. Okay, thanks. Hey friends, now we're going to talk about ActiveCampaign. So part of the difficulty is trying to figure out where to put me so I'm not in the way. So again, I created a test account just for this presentation. And I'll log in. And here you'll see I have a test list. So you need to create a list here first. So in MailerLite, you created a group that was based on a list that already existed. Here you need to create a test list, or any kind of list really. And then we can look under automations. Now again, same process applies. We're going to create a new automation. And we can look through, there are some things that are already created for us, but I think we should start from scratch. Again, we're just getting started with this. We want to start small, make sure we understand what's going on. So we're going to start from scratch. And we need to start trigger. And the trigger we'll use is that they subscribe to a list. And while we're here, we can just look at some of the other triggers that ActiveCampaign has that we didn't see in MailerLite. So if they forward an email, if they reply, if they visit a web page, if a goal is achieved, whatever that means, RSS feed, if they dismiss a site message. So a lot more triggers are available and in different categories as well. So again, keeping it simple, we're going to pick subscribes to a list. And it wants to know which list. So our list is going to be test list 1. And we will add that as a starting trigger. Now, when it starts, we want to send an email. Now, again, this is a little bit different. The interface, a little bit different. It says we don't have any emails to send, so you can create an email. So we'll say, okay, I'll create an email. And the email name. So this is going to be test email 1. And then we are prompted to create the email. Now, again, there are some templates here that we can choose from. There's a welcome email, there's a call to action, review and feedback, a lot of nice different ones, a couple pages worth. We can do that. We're going to build from scratch just to keep it simple. And again, we get some other options, scratch templates, right column, left column, custom HTML. We're just going to do text only. And it wants to know what's that email subject, and just gives us some information. You can always change this later. Now, if you've written your emails ahead of time, you will already have this ready. So just another reason you should write your email body and subject ahead of time. And now we are in the builder. Okay, so we can start typing our email. Now, if we've collected first name, we can personalize. So we can say, hey, first name, this is my email to you, and whatever I'm going to say. Okay, so we can go to the next step. And then there's a couple other options here. So if we wanted to edit the subject, if we want to edit the from, again, same thing applies where we wouldn't want to use Gmail for any of this. Any program you use, you don't want to use Gmail for this. You want to have your own domain, like your own email at your own domain. So info@yourdomain.com, yourname@yourdomain.com. So definitely don't want to be using Gmail. I'm just using Gmail for this presentation purpose. So the message, and this is only for us, and the address. Anti-spam laws require that the address be at the bottom of every email you send. So don't try to get around that. Just put your address in the bottom. Nobody's going to send you anything. It doesn't matter if they know where you live. They're already going to know where you live. They can use white pages to find that information. And maybe somebody will send you a gift. So keep your address there. Don't worry about that. And you can do some of these options here. So open or read tracking, link tracking, Google Analytics, and things like that. And to see if you can turn those on or can't turn those on, depending on how you have other things set up. You can preview, so email client preview, desktop preview, and it will tell you that, like, hey, you're using Gmail, that's not going to work out. So we would finish that. And then there would be an option somewhere, hopefully, to turn it on. Right now, so it's inactive, we would want to make it active. Now, let's say that, again, just like the MailerLite video, that this is a sequence of emails. So this would be they subscribe to the list. This would be our first email. Then we could wait. So let's see, conditions. We want to wait. And we want to wait for a period of time, for 1 day. And then we want to send another email. Okay, lots of options in here. So we want to create a new email. We want to send that same email again. We're going to create a new email. Just just create that really quickly. Go from scratch, text. Again, here's another email, and then whatever you want to put in there. Basically, just be copying and pasting because you already wrote it. So next, we would look through these options if anything we wanted to change or preview or anything like that, and then we'd finish. And then we would just repeat based on how many emails we had. So if we had 5 emails, we'd wait again for a certain amount of time, then another email, and so on. And remember, in the first part of the presentation when we talked about those conditions, if we were feeling a little bit more advanced, we could say if else. So we could say if they open this email, then do something. Else, if they didn't open this email, maybe try to send that one again. So you can really start looking through all of these actions and adding tags and removing tags and things like that. So it's a really powerful set of features here. Now, it's great, but just take it one step at a time, right? Like if we're learning to run a marathon, we're not going to just run the whole marathon today, right? Maybe we're just going to do a couple miles today. So, kind of keep it all in perspective. And then when you're finished, you can turn it on. And yay, done, great. So that's ActiveCampaign. Now, if we were doing a date-based follow-up, just like we did in MailerLite, instead of sending that first email right away, we could do here, we could wait 60 days. There's a couple different ways that we could do that. Oh, we have to name this automation. So a couple different ways that we could do that. But just so that you know that it's possible to send an email as a follow-up or a check-in much later, and you don't have to always send an email right away. But you do want to send it right away if you're welcoming them or inviting them to a sequence of educational content. So that is ActiveCampaign. And we're going to go to ConvertKit next. Okay, thanks. Hey friends, this is the last part, and we're talking about ConvertKit. So again, I signed up for ConvertKit just with a test account so that you could see how it works. And what I really like about their interface, really easy to use, really clean, is that they have these videos here at the beginning for each section. So landing pages and forms, you can just watch the video first and then go and do your thing. Or if you're not the instruction kind of person, you can just go right to it and create a new form. Now, I mentioned in the presentation that ConvertKit's a little bit different with their terminology. So they have automations, yes, but also sequences. So sequences are really what we're talking about here. And then once you create a few sequences, you can add them to an automation, and your automation is really like your whole entire marketing picture. So again, starting small, let's just look at sequences and implement a few. So we will go to a new sequence and test sequence 2. And here, notice that we have a draft of an email already created, and we really didn't get the option to pick a different type of format. But so our first email, so we're going to change the subject. This is the first email. And then we would change any of the content here. My content is new here. If we wanted to personalize, we can do that. Subscriber's name. And whatever else you wanted to do. Now, there was an interesting note when I first watched the video, the how-to video, that was on this screen that you didn't see. You have to make sure that you change the status to published or the email won't send. So it's nice if you're considering adding additional emails that they don't go out right away. Also, when to send after 1 day or certain days of the week, things like that. We want to send that first one right away. And that's great. We'll change that to published. And we're good to go. Now, that would be our welcome email. Now, let's say we wanted to do that sequence. We would start the exact same way, but then we would add an email here. So this is our second email. And And notice they even say, you know, great subject, engaging content. So that's exactly what we want to do. And we'll wait 1 day to send that, and then we will publish that, and then we're going to save all of these. Okay, so just like that, right? How awesome is that? Super easy. And because we walk through the other ones, you'll notice that, you know, a lot of these are the same. So if you're not using MailerLite or ActiveCampaign or ConvertKit, you'll see in those, in the email marketing platform you're using, you'll see, you know, some very similar kind of broad strokes. At first it seems really intimidating. You're like, oh no, I have to learn a whole new system. But really, if you think about it in terms of process, you just have to find the exact things that you're looking for and figure out what they're called. So that is how to set up a sequence in ConvertKit. And if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. You can send me an email, or I'm going to put this on YouTube as well, so if you want to add some comments there, or find me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and I'd love to talk more about this. Okay, talk to you soon. Thank you.